Hey, what is going on, guys? This is the SS Ultimate Goku, back with another video. And, today I'm going to be talking about something very interesting. Something that I normally don't talk about in this channel, and that is something that involved NXT. Who would have thunk it? I don't really talk about NXT developmental because it is a developmental brand. And that's how I look at it as. So something happened on the last week edition of NXT that is getting a lot of people buzz. There's a lot of buzz about it because of the awkwardness of what happened. So let's put the context here. Okay, so apparently the NXT North American Championship, the women's North American NXT Championship, was defended by Blake Monroe. Blake Monroe was defending the title against Thea Hail, and Thea Hail was the challenger in this match. However, the finish / full length of the match, because I don't know how many minutes of the match was supposed to happen, but during the match, there was a botched finish where Thea Hail basically did some type of, like, she was doing some Ultimate Warrior Batista running the rope thing, and then she just went on the ropes and did like a splat on Blake Monroe, and she landed on her. The referee, she goes for a cover. The referee does 1, 2, 3, and it appears when he does the 3. I've watched this like many times now. Okay, I have analyzed this so many times now. It's all over social media. They officially have now posted the full match on YouTube, but there were clips here and there all over social media about it. Okay, I have watched this many times, this pinfall. The referee was 110% correct in pinning her to the mat. Vince McMahon always told his referees to treat the matches as if they're real. Okay? Wrestling's predetermined, we all know that. But in terms of the pinfalls, it's on the wrestlers to kick out. That's always been the motto since even before Vince McMahon was in charge of wrestling. Okay, you go back to the territory days, that's always been the mentality, is that it's the wrestler's job to kick out. Blake Monroe did not do that. Now, some people have looked at her arm was going up or whatever, like right before the 3. Her arm does start to go up, but the ref already pins the 3, and also her arm going up doesn't mean that her shoulder is up. The rules of a pinfall is the way to kick out is you have to get your shoulders up, or at least one of them up. Okay, that has always been the rule. She didn't do that. She just put her arm up. And again, she didn't really start doing that until the referee pinned the 3. It was a complete valid pinfall. Thea Hayes 100% legitimately won that match. And I mean that as in, doesn't matter, it wasn't a part of the script. She won that match. Blake Monroe's shoulders were to the mat. Definitively. She didn't kick out in time. She lost. Now, I give major props to this. I don't even know who this referee is. I don't even know what his name is. But I give big props to this referee. He did what he's supposed to, and I hope there's no heat on this guy because he did his job. And I loved the image of the referee like going right to Blake and basically saying, "You didn't kick out at 3." Like, you can literally hear him say it as he's like showing like the 3 fingers or whatever. Go check it out. Obviously I can't show the footage because of, copyright issues, but go check that out. It's there, man. Like, this referee even goes right up to Blake and tells her, "You didn't kick out at 3." Now, because this wasn't planned, there was an awkward moment, like with Thea Hail, who's like, she's, I can definitely believe that, like, when she's like, "What happened? I won?" When she's like, you could tell that, like, she's like, she can't, because she wasn't supposed to win this match. So she's like shocked or whatever. And then she, once everything lays on the music, her music eventually plays, because they actually played Blake's music for a brief moment, because that's how much of the confusion was going on. Then she starts to celebrate in her character or whatever. She has to. She won. Even if it wasn't planned, you have to, treat it as you just literally won this damn thing for real. You have to, treat it that way. Now, they did some stuff on the fly. They did like a brief promo of her with her victory or whatever. They showed the whole thing with Blake Monroe then coming in saying that she wants her rematch, and she's like all upset or whatever, which again, in storyline, that does make sense, but I'm sure that's also legitimate as well. But that's the only thing you can do is treat this as like a fluke, I mean, that's how they have to treat it, because that's literally how it was presented, because it wasn't supposed to happen. So you have to treat it that way. You have to treat it like, oh, it was a fluke. It was an upset. It wasn't like, supposed to happen. However, to my understanding is a lot of creative plans had to be changed on the fly as a result of this match, because of Thea Hail winning. Now, here's what I would say to this, because I know Shawn Michaels books the NXT shows. I don't think Triple H really is involved anymore with NXT. I think it's just Shawn Michaels at this point right now. Could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure it's just all Shawn Michaels right now that's doing it. I would caution NXT. I would caution Shawn Michaels or whoever's doing the booking for this to just give the title back to Blake Monroe, like a week from now or 2 weeks from now. I think they're doing tapings this week, because I know obviously Christmas is next week, so they might be doing a tape show. They might have taped the show after this live show, because I know they do that for SmackDown and Raw for the holidays, as they do the double taping. So I don't know if they're doing another show for next week that would be a taped show rather than a live show. But I would really caution the people doing this, like, to just not give the title right back to Blake Monroe like a week from now or 2 weeks from now or whenever, and just have it be a short reign or whatever. This title was obviously done by accident because it wasn't planned. But even though it wasn't planned, you can still turn this into something. Even though it wasn't planned, you can turn this into something and make it special. And it won't hurt Blake Monroe, because I know they have plans for Blake Monroe. She was like a big acquisition from AEW. But that it's not going to hurt Blake Monroe losing this match, because she wasn't supposed to lose that match, and obviously the way they're presenting it, which is the only way you could really present it anyways, is that it was a fluke. That's how they're presenting it, because that's literally what it was because it wasn't supposed to happen. But also, number two, that's how you have to present it now on television, which they've already done just from, the brief post-match, is you're presenting it as a fluke. So this still won't hurt Blake Monroe. As long as you do it correctly. This also could be a possibility where you move her up to the NXT Women's Championship. Since she's not the North American champion right now, you could move her up and just have her go, because I'm sure that's what the plan is anyways, is to eventually move her up to the NXT Women's title anyways. So to me, I think this actually is better because it also helps Thea Hail, because Thea Hail, she is literally with, I think, Joe Henry, right? She's with Joe Henry, who WWE obviously have big eyes on for. He's reportedly signed with WWE. He was with TNA and the partnership and stuff like that. But now, I think as of a couple weeks ago, they now have his contract with TNA ended, and he's now officially signed with WWE. So now he's officially on the WWE roster, and he's actually reportedly getting main roster money despite being on NXT. So he's on NXT, but he's getting main roster money. He's getting a main roster contract is what he's getting. So the fact that they put Thea Hail with Joe Henry, someone who obviously they see promise in, the fact that they're putting her with him, and you have her winning this title even though it was accidental, it could present more character layers with her and Joe Henry right now. Which is why I don't think they should just take the title right off of her to try and correct the mistake. You know what I'm saying? Look at what was it called? Caitlyn. Caitlyn won the Battle Royale years ago, and she wasn't supposed to win that reportedly. Eve Torres was supposed to win it, but when she did the clothesline false finish spot in the Royal Battle, Eve Torres' legs slipped, I guess, or something like that, and she fell out of the ring. Instead of WWE trying to correct the mistake, they decided to keep her as the number one contender, and she went on to win the title. The Divas title, as it was at the time. So, I do think it was a mistake, it was an accident, but they can turn this into something. And I don't care how much it's scrambling around they have to do. You got to do that sometimes when these things happen. The referee made the right call. Hopefully there's no heat on him. Reportedly, and I can't believe this wasn't a thing anyways to begin with, but as a result of this match, reportedly, every wrestler and referee and backstage personnel for NXT now has to stay the entire time for the duration of the event in case stuff like this happens again. Which, honestly, I don't know why that wasn't a policy already. You would think after the most famous botched ending happened, the double botched ending, the Royal Rumble of 2005 is what I'm referring to, where we had inadvertently two winners, Batista and John Cena. Both their feet hit the floor at the exact same time. That was not planned. Batista was supposed to win that, but they both somehow managed to roll on when Batista was trying to pick him up or whatever. They both flipped. Batista lost his footing, and they both flipped over to the ropes at the exact same time. Still wild that actually happened, despite it not actually being planned. I still do not know how that got pulled off, despite it not being planned. But you see what the refs did. The SmackDown refs improvised and said Cena won. The Raw refs improvised and said Batista won. That bought time for Vince McMahon to come out and restart the match, even though he then went on to botch by breaking both of his quads. They still managed to get the finish going on. But here's the thing. One of the things that a lot of people don't know about that double botch for that Royal Rumble 2005 is the general managers, Eric Bischoff and Teddy Long, they left the arena because their spots with the Rumble were done. So they left. Now, wouldn't you think, looking back at that Royal Rumble 2005, wouldn't it have made more sense for the SmackDown general manager, Teddy Long, and the Raw general manager, Eric Bischoff, to have been there to support their, winner, from their brand? Wouldn't that have made more sense? It absolutely would, rather than have Vince McMahon come out. And, of course, go on to break both of his quads. That would have made more sense, but because Teddy Long and Eric Bischoff's nights were done after their early, spots in the Rumble, at the early parts of the match in the Rumble, because their spots were done, they left early because they wanted to get to the next city or whatever that they were going to for Raw and SmackDown. So they left early to beat the traffic. But you would think that after that incident happened, that you would think that it would already be a mandated thing after that happened. That they all have to stay until the end of the event. But apparently, I guess it's not something that was communicated. Or maybe it was, but once Vince McMahon left, they I guess, laxed on the policy. I don't know. But that's something I think should have been a thing already. And obviously, I'm glad it is a thing going forward now because I don't think anybody should leave until the event's over, especially if stuff like this happens. They 100% should still be there. The wrestlers, the refs, the other people that they need, the extras, and all that other stuff. They should all be there in case stuff like this happens because botches can happen anytime, and sometimes you have to rewrite the storylines. And again, I am interested to see what they do with this. If they just decide to go right back to Blake Monroe a week or two later. I mean, obviously in the promo, she said she wanted a rematch, so we'll see if she gets it. Remember, supposedly there's no more rematch clauses anymore. We'll see how that goes. We'll see. But I'm very interested to see what they do with this. This is probably the more interesting thing out of NXT I have seen in a while. And it came from something that wasn't supposed to happen. That's all I got to say. Comment, rate. If you like my video or my other videos, please subscribe. Hit the notification bell for all these content. Thank you. And that is about it, guys. I am the SS Ultimate Goku, and I'm out of here. Peace. Also, besides my YouTube channel, follow me on the Twitch, the Instagram, and I do have a Discord link in the description where we discuss various topics, including this one here. And now I'm out. Peace.